Hi, everyone, and welcome to our forms tutorial for North Star Camp. We're getting very excited for the summer, and with this comes that our forms going live, where we need to collect all of the information so that we can take great care of your kids. Start by introducing myself. I'm Andy Schlensky. I'm the owner and director at North Star Camp. Also want to introduce my colleagues, Dan Lichtenstein, who's our director of operations at North Star, and Robin Boehm, our assistant director. Dan will be walking you through all things logistics and travel, and he's your point person for any of those things. And Robin will be taking you through all of the health center related topics and any other forms. As always, and we'll repeat this later, you can reach out to any of us with questions at any time. Feel free to call or email as you have them. We're going to get started with our forms webinar, but before we do here, I just want to say that it's of the utmost importance that we get total transparency, honesty, and ask for very complete answers on these forms. We do these because it allows us to have the most resources to take great care of your kids over the summer, and provides information for our health center staff, our director team, and most importantly, your son's counselors. We're going to see the same behaviors at camp that you've seen at home and see at school, see with their friends, see with their siblings. So if you've seen it at home, and it's likely going to be relevant to us at camp. And so we ask that you are very forthcoming with all of that information to help set your child up for as much success as possible. The system we use to collect forms is hopefully one you're already familiar with through registration, and that is called Campintouch. And Robin is going to start us off by walking us through the Campintouch system. So I'll turn it over now to Robin.
Hi, everyone. Great. Thanks. Yes, I'm going to start sharing my screen so I can walk you through our enrollment system, our form system, our picture system called Campintouch. We often, when we send out an email, we will send a link so that you can jump right into the Campintouch system. But if you're curious, you can also always just access Campintouch through our North Star website. So if you go to northstarcamp.com, you'll notice in this upper right-hand corner, it says login. That is login to Campintouch. And so you've used it for your registration. You'll also use it for forms, and then throughout the summer as well, to access anything from pictures to just additional information that we're housing right there. If you forget your password as you're trying to log in, there will be a forgot password link. So go ahead and just click that. It will help you log back into the system. If you have any trouble along the way, though, feel free to reach out to us as well. Great, so I'm going to go ahead and share what it looks like when you do get into Campintouch. And here's the view right here. We're going to focus on the forms and documents section to help you submit these forms, give you some tips, and walk you through there. If you click on forms and documents, you're going to see a full list of all of the forms that we request our families submit on an annual basis. Some of these forms, everything does need to be resubmitted every single year. So just because you sent us immunization from a prior year does mean you need to resubmit it. However, we will walk you through some tips in order to speed up the process for you, perhaps from one year to the next. But once again, filling out these forms in their entirety is really important to us. It's important to our staff, and really helps set your child up for success. So I'm going to go ahead and with all of these forms, just kind of walk you through. You do notice there's a May 1st due date for all of our forms. That gives you about 2 months to submit these forms. And the time frame is because we start reviewing this information early on. We want to be able to have conversations with you and save ourselves the time before camp really kicks into gear and staff training kicks into gear. That's why we do request, no matter what session you're signed up for, May 1st is our deadline. You'll also notice these different icons on the left-hand side of the forms. They are different ways that the forms are submitted. So the computer icon shows that it's just a computer form, that it only gets submitted online. A barcode form is that there is a specific barcode printed on that form. So if you return it either by uploading it or faxing it back to us. Our system is smart enough that it will categorize the form directly to your child, kind of saving us some just organization and streamlining the process for us. So happy to walk you through each of these, but do know there are different systems how the forms do get submitted. The only thing I would remind you is with these systems, with our barcodes, because it is child specific, if you have more than one child that's enrolled at camp, please do not use the same form and print out the same form for each of the same children, because it will get coded back to potentially the wrong camper. So log into their specific account or into their profile for that camper and use those forms as you're filling it out. It will say the camper's name at the bottom of the form if you need additional information of whose form it does belong to. I also just want to point out, I'm going to focus on the health center forms, starting with our health history right here. That there is no required, for our required forms for health and medical information, we do not require a doctor's signature, a doctor's form. We do have additional forms that should be potentially reviewed by a doctor or just allowing us to have communication with a doctor. But for our required forms that every camper must submit, there's no required physical or additional form that needs to be signed off by a physician at this time. With that, I'm going to start with just the health history right here and log in quickly. Our health history is an overview form that parents, adults, caregivers of the child will be able to fill out independently without having information from a doctor. It's a lot of emergency contact information that gets stored on file in the case that we would need it, insurance information, doctor's information that we would keep on file. You'll be able to do this, like I said, without a doctor submitting anything. I'm going to kind of walk through quickly and point out specifically one thing with the health history form, and that's when it comes to medications at camp. I often get a lot of questions about medications at camp, and so want to walk you through some of the specifics and how we do that here at camp. Medications at camp. For any child that's taking a daily pill medication. Daily pill can be prescription, it can be over the counter, but if it falls into the category of being a daily pill medication, it does need to go through our partner called Campmeds. Campmeds is a separate pharmacy, male pharmacy, that will ship the medication to us at camp in a safe and reliable way, that they package everything in a system that works really well for us at camp. And so that needs to be ordered through Campmeds. There is a specific, there's more camp information, more information about Campmeds in our form section. But just know that if your camper has a daily pill medication, it does need to go through Campmeds. If, for families that are not using Campmeds and they need to be, we do have an additional charge that our health center will put onto families' accounts for that, because we feel like it's really important. It saves us time. It's a safety, it's definitely a safety thing for us and for our staff. So just follow the rule. Daily and pill needs to go through Campmeds. If it falls outside that category, so it's daily and liquid, or daily and inhaler, something of that sort, then it does not need to go through Campmeds. We can talk about the method of getting those medications up to camp safely. But like I said, if it is daily and pill, it needs to go through Campmeds. I cannot reiterate that enough. Going back to the health form though, if your child is taking any sort of medications at camp, you will need to mark yes for this first question. Will the camper take medications at North Star Camp? You will mark yes. There will be a pop-up box that comes up that you will then mark into here the specifics on the medication. We do ask when our health center is starting to process this information and reviewing every single submission, the information that you submit here when it comes to dosage, when it comes to just the amount that's being sent, needs to be identical to what is actually being sent up to camp. And this is really important, another safety on our end. If it is a prescription medication and what is written in the prescription then differs from what is submitted here. For instance, perhaps the doctor wrote a prescription for a medication that was taken, it says at bedtime or before sleep, and you mark that you are then putting the medication at breakfast or lunch, and so the time differs from what the prescription would say. That will need to go back to you. We'll need to go back to your doctor so that the prescription and the submission then match up to make sure that we're taking everything very carefully when it comes to medications. You'll fill in this information, and then we do ask under the special instructions piece of it, if it is not arriving through Campmeds, please let us know how it's arriving. Sometimes it's being shipped directly to us because the medication does not qualify under that daily pill medication and it's being shipped to us in a different way. Please let us know that. Or if the medication is going to be traveling with the camper, either on the travel day via the bus or with a plane, please let us know that. We want to make sure that we're gathering all those medications right at the beginning of camp so we can be set to go. And the more information you provide to us with that, the more helpful it is to our health center as they're getting everything up and organized. So please take enough time to really be thoughtful about the medications piece of it. That is a big focus for our health center staff every year at the start. I will also say on this medications page, there is a section about over-the-counter medications. The medications that are listed here that we are asking for permission, either yes or no, for your camper to have if they need to come to the health center, those are the ones that we will stock in the health center. So if you are wondering if you should send additional Tylenol for your child, acetaminophen, just because they might get a headache, please do not send that. That is something that we will have on stock. And so if it's an as needed medication, no need to send it. We will have it on stock, but we do need to have permission marked that yes, they can have that medication as needed. So please just be thoughtful about that. If you have questions, you can always reach out to us and we're happy to answer specific camper questions when it comes to medications and health forms. But just to be mindful that we do use Campmeds as our system there. I'll also note that Campmeds, they have a deadline of processing orders 6 weeks before the camp session starts. So depending if you're a first session or second session camper, their deadline and cutoff for putting in orders is always 6 weeks in advance. So I recommend once again that you start early when it comes to filling out the health forms, submitting your Campmeds order on that one. I'm also going to walk you through two other forms, kind of not with as much detail, but we do have 2 immunization forms. The immunization form is, as you can see, it's a fax back code. So let me see if I can open this and you can see it right away. I may need to switch screens. Let's see, let me switch over. So here is the paper version of our immunization form. And you'll see right here on the bottom side is where that barcode along with the specific individual marker for that camper is. You can either choose to write in the immunization dates or submit this blank form along with what your doctor provides you of immunization dates specific for us to keep on file. If you are looking to cut a little time from one year to the next, inside our health history form, there is also a section for you to submit the dates for immunization. If you use the immunization form or information from our health form, that will save from year to year. So the information that you put into our health history will save from year to year, and then we do ask you to review it and update it for future years. But if you are looking for a way to cut off potentially some time when you're submitting forms on an annual basis, I do recommend that you put the immunization dates directly into the health history form. Otherwise, submitting this through the fax back or an upload fashion is also fine with us, but it will require you to then submit that year to year to year. Let me go ahead and switch back to our Campintouch system. We have one more quick immunization form. It's called immunization certification. This is just an online form. It is stating and certifying whether your child is up to date on immunizations or not, and giving us additional information on that. So one is for the actual dates and one is to certify the up-to-date status. There are two more medical forms that I'm going to touch on. The additional forms are the medical recommendations form right here, and also the mental health provider recommendations form. These two forms are optional, but we do ask that if your camper has any ongoing health conditions, meaning asthma, perhaps a diagnosis of ADHD, any chronic conditions, or has been hospitalized in the last year, we do ask you submit this medical recommendations form. The medical recommendations form, it is a printout form that can be faxed back or uploaded to us. This is one of the forms that that a doctor will need to review and that we ask for a doctor's signature. It really opens up the lines of communication between our health center and your healthcare providers back at home to make sure that we are continuing care and setting your child up for success. This is one of the optional forms that does need to be reviewed by a doctor. And then also the mental health provider recommendation form, also a printout form. If your child is currently seeing a mental health provider for any reason, we do ask that you print out this form, give it to their provider for them to return. And once again, just a continuation of care for us to know strategies that are working really well, what are some of the topics or just things that are current and relevant to your child's mental health that we can then continue to support while they're at camp, and also potentially setting up a direct line of communication between the provider and us at camp so that your child continues to have success while they're in the new environment. So those are the camp forms when it comes to the health center. If there are questions, feel free to reach out to us at any point in time.
Great. We're now turning it over to Dan, who's going to walk us through some of the forms on the logistics side.
Okay, a couple of other forms that I'm going to go over here. And the first is a form, it's called the Parent Authorization Form. It also can be referred to as the insurance card form. We will need a copy of proof of insurance for every camper. And Robin is pulling that form up right now. But this form serves two purposes. The first purpose of this form, again, is so that we have a copy of a proof of insurance. But the other purpose for this form is, and you can see there, Robin is showing now that there is a nice convenient place to put, a photocopy. And of course, my dog is barking now, to put a photocopy of your proof of insurance. You can put it there. You can also just copy and have a second or third page behind this form that will have a copy of the insurance proof. But as you can see right here, we also need a copy of this form. We need your signature and information, because this form is also giving us permission to treat. On the off chance that we need to seek medical care for any camper off-camp property at the hospital or a clinic, we will need to provide this form, which is you giving us permission to have your camper treated. So don't just send an insurance card without this cover form. We need this, and we need it signed by you. As you see at the bottom right-hand corner, I'm going to remind again, probably this is the third time we're reminding that there is that barcode, as well as the individual camper name. So you may have multiple campers, their card and insurance information may be identical, but we need separate forms submitted for each of them. And you need to please make sure that the barcode and the name at the bottom right-hand corner matches your camper's name, so that whether you, if you fax it back, that it does get matched to your child's record. Of course, this is also an optional form that you can, or form is not optional, but it is a form that you can upload directly into Campintouch. Okay, The next form I'm going to talk about quickly, it's an online submission, and this is the transportation form. We need to know how every child is getting to camp. We do not ever want to make the assumption that because a camper is from Chicago, that they're taking the bus, or that because they are from Minneapolis, that they're getting dropped off at the airport. And so we will need you to fill us out, and again, to fill it out for each of your campers. And you can see that there are 3 different icons on this form. The first is a bus icon. This is the option you should choose if your camper is taking a bus to camp. And once you select it, you can see there are multiple options for the location that your bus is, either your child is going to meet the bus, or on the way home, the location that your child is going to get picked up. And so those options that you will see on there are going to be the Chicago area, the Milwaukee location for pickup, as well as Madison. And so please make sure that you select the right location. There is also a Minneapolis option for the airport shuttle. And so the reason you would select the Minneapolis airport shuttle is if your camper is going to be brought to the airport, whether you are a local of Minneapolis or whether you are a parent that is flying in a day or multiple days ahead of time to spend some time with your camper in Minneapolis, and you're going to bring them to the airport. And we are not going to meet them at their flight. That is why you would select the Minneapolis airport shuttle. And so those are the reasons you would select the bus option. Car option would be if you are either dropping off or picking up your camper at camp, you would select the car option and provide the information there. And then the third option is the little airplane there. And that is for campers that are flying to camp, that you are requesting that a staff member of ours is going to meet them at their flight, at the gate upon their arrival, or take them to their gate at home for their departure. And we need full air information for them. And so even the confirmation number, all this information is really, really helpful for us when we go to the airport to get gate passes to meet your camper and to have all that information. So we do need full information. And I note that for those that are flying, there's a really good chance that your child's airline information, the departure time, the flight number may change between the time that you bought the airplane ticket and their travel date. So you can go on, you can always update this, or email us, and then we can update it. But we do need that specific air information. And along with this this travel form, there's a separate air travel document. This is mainly for those who are having their camper fly to camp. And this document will really help walk you through the process of booking your airplane ticket, utilizing Travel One, who is our partner in helping you book plane tickets, a travel agency out of the Minneapolis area, and just some other relevant information for you for the most success in getting your camper to camp via air as easily as possible. All that information is on there. Okay, that's transportation. Another form that you will see is the private tennis form. This form has been live since February, so it's been live for several weeks. This is an option that we provide our campers. We've got some wonderful tennis pros, Carlos and Cece. And for families that wish to have additional tennis lessons for their campers, they can select the private tennis lessons. There is a cost associated with these lessons. And if your camper wants to play tennis, but they do not want the private tennis lessons, that's okay. They can still sign up for our regular tennis program. But we've got an awesome private tennis program. And so if you want those additional private tennis lessons, please fill out that form. And note that our tennis lessons are available on a first come, first served basis. And so please, if you know that you want those lessons, get that form filled out as quickly as possible. A couple other quick forms and documents, and some of these are relevant just to our oldest campers, but I want to mention them on the chance that some of our, what we call our Pine Manor campers, that their parents are watching this. Our Pine Manor campers refer to our campers that are just finishing their freshman year in high school. And so one form that we need from our first session and 8-week Pine Manor campers is the Canadian permission form. This age camper goes to Canada for a 9-day paddling trip, and we need permission forms submitted by their parents so that we can easily get them across the border. And if you are not in that age group, that form likely will not be visible in your portal. And so Robin may be looking for it, but it is not there because her test camper is not in that age group. There is also some other documents that are visible. One of them is a Pine Manor trip guide. Again, this would only be visible if your camper is in that 15-year-old age group, or I should say going into sophomore year of high school. It explains that Canada trip as well as another trip that we have for them at the end of the summer. The final document that I do want to point out is our equipment list. It would be visible at the bottom of this page with the documents. And this is just, it's not just the list of the items and equipment that you should bring to camp. There are some tips that are in there to help you prepare for camp, some recommendations for specific items that we think have been the most successful for campers. And so that equipment list is more than a list, it's a little guide that will help you. And Robin is pulling it up now to take a look at that. But what I will mention is that many of these documents, while they are on Campintouch, are also available on the Preparing for Camp section of the North Star website. And so the equipment list, that air travel document, and some other documents are going to be uploaded on the Preparing for Camp section of the North Star website. And so if you don't want to log in, that's another place that you can find a lot of this stuff.
Great, thanks, Dan. Great, I'm gonna walk us through just the 2 additional forms that we have left here through our Campintouch system. And these are the forms that are at the top of your screen that you see right away. One is called the Camper Profile, and one is called the Camper Questionnaire. The Camper Profile, I will tell you, this is the form that asks most about your child's personality, your child's just goals for the summer, coming from the perspective of a parent. Where does your child achieve success? Where did they have struggles or challenges, so that our staff can, from day one, have some strategies to start supporting them. With all of our forms, there is a timeout feature with this Campintouch system. And so I highly recommend that in order to provide the answers that we think this form deserves, we recommend that you save your answers in a Word doc or a Google doc, because we have heard from time to time that the answers do time out, that parents do put a lot of thought into this only to lose their answers because of the timeout feature. So as you're filling out the Camper Profile, that would be my strongest recommendation. A lot of these answers then do save from an annual basis from one to the next, but we ask that you review them and look it over. So definitely for the Camper Profile, take your time, be thoughtful, but also save your answers so that you don't get into position of having to redo it again. Lastly, want to walk us through the last form that we have on our system right now. That's called the Camper Questionnaire. And we know that we've asked a lot out of you as parents as you're submitting information to us. And so we also want to have direct communication with our campers and to know what their thoughts as they head into the summer. So the Camper Questionnaire, you'll see at the very top, we said the camper should fill out this form, not the parent or the guardian. It should really take them about 5 to 15 minutes, starts to put them in a headspace preparing for camp, letting their counselors know what some of their initial goals are as they go into the summer, what are some of the things that they're worried about or thinking about, that they can have that direct communication that will be shared with their counseling team before they arrive, so that on night one they can really start supporting them in ways that feel supportive and unique to them. So the Camper Questionnaire, that is the last form. It's only a couple of questions, but we do ask that your camper take the time to fill this out and to communicate directly with us and with their team before the summer starts. So with that, we've walked you through all of our forms that we have on our Campintouch system. Andy, Dan, and myself, we are more than happy to help support you as you fill this out. If you have unique questions, please just reach out to us. We also have a wonderful office team who, as we get closer and closer to the summer, will help with processing a lot of our forms. We have a wonderful health center team that will start reviewing our forms early before the summer even begins. So thanks for watching and participating along with us, and feel free, reach out to us with any questions that you might have along the way.